Okay, so we have more Hollywood news to cover this week. As we all know, the WGA strike is good and over. The writers are back to work and they got a fantastic deal. Actually, I just had my video going over their deal come out. So take a look at that one if you want to find out more details on it. But SAG-AFTRA, they are still on strike. But there seems to be some good news on that front because SAG-AFTRA is currently in talks with the AMPTP, and they just tweeted out, "We have concluded today's bargaining with the AMPTP and will resume talks on Friday, October 6th. The parties will be working internally over the weekend, resuming Monday, October 9th. So it sounds like they are currently in talks with the AMPTP, and the fact that they're saying, okay, we're going to take a break over the weekend and come back on Monday, that makes it sound like there's some good progress being made here. So hopefully we can get all of this resolved soon and the actors can get a good deal. Now, last week, the SAG-AFTRA had been in talks with the video game industry because they're not currently happy with that deal. And in fact, SAG-AFTRA has a strike authorization vote that was 98% yes. So if things don't go well with the video game industry, they might be going on strike with them. They had talks for like 3 days and they weren't able to resolve it. But I'm assuming that part of them not going back to the table was just, oh, well, we should probably negotiate with the people we're currently on strike with. They're open to it, so we'll get back to the video game industry once these negotiations are done. So hopefully they can get a good deal here, and then they can go to the video game industry and get a good deal there without needing to strike. That's always ideal. Like, you get what you're asking for without having to strike. That way, nobody's hurt. But, you know, sometimes you do need to flex your power as the actual workers that everyone needs. But while we are still on strike in Hollywood, there was a bill that I talked about that was going through the California's legislature that would have given unemployment benefits to striking workers. And it actually passed the legislature and made it all the way to Gavin Newsom's desk. Unfortunately, he vetoed it. Newsom vetoes bill giving unemployment benefits to workers on strike. Governor Gavin Newsom has vetoed a bill giving unemployment benefits to striking workers, which was backed by the Writers Guild of America and SAG-AFTRA. Now is not the time to increase costs or incur this sizable debt, he wrote in his veto message Saturday. And why don't I take a look at the veto message? I've actually got that up right here. To the members of the California State Senate, I am returning Senate Bill 799 without my signature. This bill allows individuals who left work due to a trade dispute to become eligible for unemployment insurance benefits. The bill also codifies case law that employees who left work due to a lockout by their employer, even if it was in anticipation of a trade dispute, are eligible for UI benefits. California employers fund UI benefits through contributions to the state's UI Trust Fund on behalf of each employee. The UI financing structure has not been updated since 1984, which has made the UI Trust Fund vulnerable to insolvency. Any expansion of eligibility for UI benefits could increase California's outstanding federal UI debt, projected to be nearly $20 billion by the end of the year, and could jeopardize California's benefit cost ratio add-on waiver application, significantly increasing taxes on employers. So he vetoed it because it might increase taxes on employers if he didn't. But here's the thing, Gavin. You only need to increase those taxes if there's a strike going on. And if there's a strike going on, and we have more taxes on the industry because they're being struck against, well, they might be more inclined to take a deal. Furthermore, the state is responsible for the interest payments on the federal UI loan, and to date has paid $362.7 million in interest, with another $302 million due this month. Now is not the time to increase costs or incur this sizable debt. I have deep appreciation and respect for workers who fight for their rights and come together in collective action. I look forward to building on the progress we have made over the past 5 years to improve conditions for all workers in California, but I'm going to veto this thing that would improve conditions for all workers in California. Gavin, I know that you have eyes on the White House. This right here, this is like, you're basically torpedoing your chances here. This was an absolute win. You just sign it. The only debt that incurs for this would be if there is a strike going on, and the tax burden would be shouldered by the entertainment industry, who has been so flush with cash that they have been able to weather a 5-month strike. They have the money. Fucking tax them. This was such an easy W for him, and he just torpedoed it because he's an idiot. And like, Gavin Newsom just signed into law another bill that grants fast food workers in California a $20 minimum wage and creates a fast food workers council. So like, hot off the heels of him doing something that is great for workers in California, he's just like, oh no, we can't do this one. No. It's such an idiotic, myopic decision on his part. Senator Anthony J. Portantino, who had sponsored the bill, was disappointed by the veto. The labor unrest and concern we all witnessed this summer earned the legislature's action to pass unemployment benefits for striking workers. The need continues, and so will efforts to make this the law in California. The hardworking women and men in California need to put food on their table and pay their rent. SB 799 would have injected a small piece of security to working families that is needed and deserved, he said in a statement. With an effective date of January 1st, 2024, the bill would have applied to workers who have been on strike for at least 2 weeks. Currently, only New York and New Jersey provide unemployment to striking workers. See, okay, like, look at this. Effective date of January 1st. So this would only even apply to Hollywood if the strike goes on to next year, which, since SAG-AFTRA is currently in talks with AMPTP for the first time since they struck, it sounds likely that the strike is not going to go that long. Oh my god, it's so myopic. And yeah, New York and New Jersey provide unemployment to striking workers, and that has surely helped out the not WGA. Well, probably did help WJ East, but also the SAG-AFTRA members who are in New York, because you know New York is a big theater town and also a big filming town. So a lot of those people, they've been making unemployment. But in California, which is literally the heart of Hollywood is in California. They haven't been making UI. They have had to make do by dipping into savings, taking another job, and relying on strike funds. This would have put pressure on the companies that they are striking against, because it would have been dipping into their money instead, while they waited 5 months to bargain in good faith. Ridiculous. Opponents argued that the state's unemployment benefit program is already deep in debt, still owing $18 billion to the federal government due to the pandemic. Okay, who cares? I don't care. I don't care about debt. Debt is meaningless. Debt is imaginary. Like, you know how much U.S. debt there is? Debt is only ever brought up when conservatives want to hurt people. It's meaningless. It's an imaginary thing. One has to be cautious about that before you enter into a conversation about expanding its utilization, he said. Opponents also argued that unemployment is meant only for workers who got laid off, not those who are withholding their labor as a negotiating tactic. Okay, well, no, because when you are withholding labor as a negotiation tactic, it means that things have gotten so dire and the companies are not willing to bargain with you in good faith that is severely impacting your ability to live and work. And here we are. Jolie Fisher, the Secretary-Treasurer of SAG-AFTRA, also visited Sacramento to push for the bill. At a SAG-AFTRA rally on September 13th, she said she was offended by that argument. I am ready, willing, and able to work, she said. I am desperate to work. Gavin, you're an idiot. And I think I tweeted saying, there goes 2028, dude. Because I'm sure he'd won it. But back to the SAG-AFTRA strike itself, one of the big concerns, and we saw that addressed in the WGA deal, one of the big concerns in Hollywood right now is AI. And while for writers, AI is a concern in terms of, replacing them or coming up with ChatGPT ideas, for actors, AI is kind of in a much more powerful and concerning place, because we right now have seen what AI voice replacement can do, and we've seen what deepfakes can do in wholly recreating an actor. We have people who go in for full body scans, get paid a day rate, and then Hollywood wants to use their likeness forever without paying them. And we've got here a good personal interest story on it. Robin Williams' daughter Zelda criticizes use of AI to recreate his voice. I find it personally disturbing. These recreations are at their very best a poor facsimile of greater people, but at their worst, a horrendous Frankensteinian monster cobbled together from the worst bits of everything this industry is instead of what it should stand for, she posted. Robin Williams' daughter Zelda is speaking out against the use of artificial intelligence to recreate the sound of her father's voice. I am not an impartial voice in SAG's fight against AI. I've witnessed for years how many people want to train these models to create and recreate actors who cannot consent, like Dad, she wrote on her Instagram story on Sunday. This isn't theoretical, it is very, very real. I've already heard AI used to get his voice to say whatever people want, and while I find it personally disturbing, the ramifications go far beyond my own feelings. Trans Girl Jade says, I love that his daughter's named Zelda. Yes, and she is named Zelda for the video game. Robin Williams was a huge nerd. Her comments come on the heels of the Writers Guild of America's strike against the studios over issues that included the use of AI, among other sticking points. While the WGA has a tentative deal in place, SAG-AFTRA is still currently on strike over the use of AI and other issues. Living actors deserve a chance to create characters with their choices, to voice cartoons, to put their human effort and time into the pursuit of performance, Zelda continued in her post. These recreations are at their very best a poor facsimile of greater people, but at their worst, a horrendous Frankensteinian monster cobbled together from the worst bits of everything this industry is instead of what it should stand for. Robin's voice is set to appear in a new Disney short, Once Upon a Studio, in the role of his Aladdin character Genie. Josh Gad, the voice of Olaf in Disney's Frozen, has confirmed that the short uses previously unheard dialogue recorded by Williams prior to his death and used with the consent of his estate. Yeah, Robin Williams recorded, I think 20 hours of just improv stuff for the original Aladdin, so Disney still got that stuff in the archive. I certainly hope that by using it for something that was not Aladdin, that the Robin Williams estate is properly compensated for its use, but it is his performance, so it's not like they're taking something that he didn't do. I am not 100% opposed to certain uses of AI, but it has to be very, very, very much in the actor's control. I kind of have this, I would like the idea of, if you're playing a video game, you can name your character whatever you want, and you can go up, and, a character could just say your name. Instead of it being from a small list, it could just be whatever your name is. But in order to do that, you would need to make sure that the actors have protection so that the AI recreation of their voice is not used to replace their performance and cannot be used to in perpetuity. It has to be used for this specific project, and the actors get paid residuals for use of that. Using it for dead actors who died before this was even a technology and have no way of consenting, that's got to be out of the question. I remember when this whole trend of having dead actors show up for new movies started, and it was in a movie that I don't think a lot of people saw. It was called Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, and was it Orson Welles, I think? They just cobbled together archival footage of him to make him be a character briefly in the movie. It's kind of gross. We saw, bits of it with Carrie Fisher in The Rise of Skywalker. Fortunately, though, with Rise of Skywalker, they did not do a CGI recreation of her face. They used deleted scenes from I think The Force Awakens, because I remember seeing some of the footage. They were like, oh yeah, I'd actually seen this in the deleted scene on the Force Awakens Blu-ray. But even then, I think that was weird. Honestly, I don't know why they didn't just reshoot The Last Jedi to have Leia die in the attack on the bridge, when that blew up and she got blasted out to space. I would have just reshot it after she died to be like, okay, yeah, no, that's where she died. I think it was a weird choice. They also did in Rogue One. Yeah, okay, that's true, Trans Girl Jade, and I don't know what the deal was in there. That movie did come out after she died, but it came out a couple days after she died because it was releasing around Christmas and she died on Christmas Day, basically. So it was coming out right after she died. I don't know if they had gotten her express permission to use her likeness in there. I imagine for somebody like Carrie Fisher, for a role like that they probably did get her permission. But also in Rogue One, they recreated what's his face, Tarkin, and surely they didn't get that actor's permission because he's been dead for decades, and that was also pretty bad. Trans Girl Jade says she could have done the voiceover. Well, I think they actually just took audio from the original film, because she just says one line. She just says hope, and I'm pretty sure they just could have taken that from the line, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." But anyway, yeah, actors are fighting for protection against AI replacing them, and that's a real concern that has long-lasting implications, because when you die and they still have your voice and can make you say whatever, it's kind of a desecration. In happier news, Walt Disney Pictures VFX workers vote to unionize with IATSE. this was something in the works for a while. We've seen the Marvel Studios VFX team has already joined IATSE, and we saw that the Walt Disney Pictures VFX workers had been had a vote in the works. The vote was just held, and it went 13-0. So they are the second group of VFX workers in Hollywood now to unionize with IATSE, and I really hope we see more dominoes fall. Now, this is just a couple of people. Like, I think the for Marvel, it's a team of 18, and for Walt Disney Pictures themselves, it's a team of 13. And most of VFX work is done in overseas VFX houses, which means getting those unionized is a lot harder. A big reason that companies will go with overseas VFX workers is because they're not unionized and because it's cheaper, labor costs are lower. So getting the whole VFX industry unionized, it's going to be a very long and hard fight. But at least for the VFX workers who are in the US, typically people who are directly working on the set, getting stuff with like green screen and everything set up, motion capture workers and all of that, those people are starting to unionize, and hopefully we see more studios follow suit. Now, as a final bit, you might remember that a couple weeks ago, we had several talk shows wanting to get started up before the writers had ended their strike. And it kind of destroyed the reputations of several people. And the most notable one was Drew Barrymore, because she was starting up her show before the writers' strike was over, and she has 3 WGA writers on staff, which means that whatever segments that she did on her talk show were going to be written by her or by other scab writers. Now, she did eventually relent and say, okay, no, we're not coming back until the writer's strike is over, but she still filmed a couple episodes of that. And the writers remember, because the Drew Barrymore Show writers declined to return. The Drew Barrymore Show is once again writing its return, though a trio of WGA writers have chosen not to return to their old gig. Barrymore found herself in hot water last month when she announced that her daytime talk show would make its 4th season debut without its striking workers. A week later, after Barrymore faced backlash and at least a few panicked guest cancellations, she revealed that she'd be reversing course, pausing the show's return until the WGA strike concluded. But with the WGA strike now over, the show is set to come back October 16th, and those writers, Chelsea White, Christina Keenan, and Liz Coe, have declined an offer to return with it, according to sources. The production is now interviewing new writers and will be in compliance with the Guild. As for White, Keenan, and Coe, all 3 were visible and vocal in their protest during the show's initial return to production in mid-September. The trio of women who shared the title co-head writer and have been with the series since season 1 could be seen picketing outside of Drew's Manhattan studio on multiple days with signs that read, "Honk if you love union labor," or "Drew's News strikes." On September 11th, which was the show's first day back in production, they told THR, probably one of the worst things to ever happen to New York on September 11th. They told THR that they'd found out Drew was returning not from their boss or colleagues, but rather via audience ticket giveaways that had been posted on social media. It is a bummer to hear that the show is going back because it sends a message that union writers are not valuable, White told THR that morning. Keenan added, "I understand that everybody has to do what they feel is best for them. For me and the WGA writers on the show, it's important for us to stick with our union. We deserve a fair contract, so we are here today outside." Asked at that time whether they planned to return to the show once the strike was resolved, White simply said, "Maybe no comment." Well, I think we now have the answer to that. While controversial, Barrymore's initial decision to return without her writing staff did not violate SAG-AFTRA rules. As a SAG-AFTRA rep stated at the time, the Drew Barrymore Show is produced under the Network Television Code, which is a separate contract and is not struck. It is permissible work, and Drew's role as host does not violate the current strike rules. Nevertheless, Barrymore preemptively defended the decision to bring her show back in a now infamous September 10 social media post, which quickly made her target. And I also have to point out the framing here is that while it didn't violate SAG-AFTRA rules, it certainly violated WGA rules because she was doing scab labor, because you don't have these shows without writers. You don't have segments without people writing them. And if your writers aren't there on staff, who's doing the writing? Scabs, whether that's Drew or somebody else. "I own this choice," she wrote at the time, reminding her legions of fans that she had made a very different choice back in May when she bowed out of her hosting duties at the MTV Movie and TV Awards in solidarity with the WGA. Barrymore ended up winning Best Host that evening, for which she submitted a pre-recorded acceptance speech in which she name-checked White, Keenan, and Co., whom she called our amazing, amazing writers. She added, "This is definitely for them and every single person who makes this show." The three have also earned 2 Emmy nominations for their writing contributions to the show. After mounting blowback, however, Barrymore updated fans on September 17th. "I've listened to everyone, and I am making the decision to pause the show's premiere until the strike is over," she wrote, adding, "I have no words to express my deepest apologies to anyone I have hurt, and of course to our incredible team who works on the show and has made it what it is today." Spokesperson for the show, along with White, Keenan, and Co., declined to comment for this story. So, yeah, you scab, you cross the picket line, you start up without your writers, they aren't going to want to work with you anymore. Now, I also know that Bill Maher had announced that he was, going to be bringing his show back with sans writers, but after seeing the backlash to Drew Barrymore, and also after seeing that the WGA was coming back to the table, that AMPTP was coming back to the table, the WGA was always willing to come back, that's when he paused his plans, and I don't think he had actually recorded anything. Drew Barrymore, however, did record a couple shows, so she was kind of seen as the face of it. Also, Bill Maher is a crank and an asshole who people weren't ever going to see as like somebody who is going to be an ally. But Drew Barrymore was seen as somebody who was an ally, so seeing her betrayal was pretty devastating. So even as she reversed course after a week, the reputational damage is done, and it looks like people aren't going to want to work with her anymore. Now, she will probably get somebody to write for her. There are a lot of desperate writers out there, but I think that working with Drew Barrymore is probably going to carry a bit of a stink. So I think she might have problems getting good talent. Hey, thanks for watching. I'm trying to get my channel monetized, so your view means a lot. Don't forget to toss me a like and subscribe and ring the bell. I stream every Monday and Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, so catch me live and join in on the convo. You can find all my socials in the description below, and thank you to all my patrons, with a very special shout out to my Whale Shark tier patron Ryan D and my Anemone friend tier patron Piftle Cakes. Your support means the world. Catch you next time.